Hare Krishna everyone, welcome back to the reading. Teachings of Lord Chaitanya by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. This is Shravanam Diaries podcast. I'm your host Sulalita Devidasi. We are continuing chapter number 11, Service to the Lord. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 4.31.14, Yatha taror mula nishechanina tripyanti tatskanda bhujo pashakha pranopaharacha yathendriyanam yathaiva sarvarhanam achyutejiya. Quote, by watering the root of a tree, one automatically nourishes the branches, twigs, leaves and fruits, and by supplying food to the stomach, one satisfies all the senses. Similarly, by rendering devotional service to Kṛṣṇa, one automatically satisfies the requirements for all other forms of worship and all other spiritual processes. Unquote. One who is faithful and firmly convinced of this is eligible to be elevated as a pure devotee. Hare Krishna. There are three classes of devotees according to the degree of conviction. The first class devotee is conversant with all kinds of Vedic literature and at the same time has the firm conviction mentioned above. He can deliver all others from the pangs of material miseries. The second class devotee is firmly convinced and has strong faith, but he has no power to cite evidence from the revealed scriptures. The third class devotee is one whose faith is not very strong, but by the gradual cultivation of devotional service, he can be promoted to the second or first class position. Jai. It is said in Srimad Bhagavatam 11.2.45 that the first class devotee always sees the Supreme Lord as the soul of all living entities. Thus, in seeing all living entities, he sees Kṛṣṇa and nothing but Kṛṣṇa. The second class devotee places his full faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, makes friends with pure devotees, shows favor to innocent persons, and avoids those who are atheistic or against devotional service. The third class devotee engages in devotional service according to the direction of the spiritual master, or engages out of family tradition and worship the deity of the Lord. But he has not cultivated knowledge of devotional service, and he does not know doesn't know a devotee from a non-devotee. How to distinguish a devotee from a non-devotee, right? Such a third-class devotee cannot actually be considered a pure devotee. He is almost in the devotional line, but his position is not very secure. So hence, the study of scriptures is very, very important. Otherwise, our position will not be very secure, isn't it? That's why so many educational programs are being promoted and encouraged. Devotees are encouraged to take them up, to study in their own circles, to study on their own, to study with their friends, to encourage the yatras to study. Because, again, going back to the initial impetus, because there was the secondary impetus from my husband to start this podcast, but there was also the primary or primeval, you can say, Oh, my husband sneezed. That's a confirmation that there was initially, my Guru Maharaj, he cited that statistic about how reading Srila Prabhupada's books in the ISKCON world is really not very prominent. And that was back in 2017. And it was a big, my Guru Maharaj was very upset, and he was very serious in this regard, and he was saying that this is a very serious subject matter that devotees are not studying. And then there was some devotees in the room, and he asked them personally, he said, how many times you read Srimad Bhagavatam from first 12th canto, and how many times you've read this book or that book. And devotees replied, and this is not how it's supposed to be. Devotees should be educated. Devotees should know scriptures. The devotees should be able to cite scriptures, and otherwise our position will not be secure. We will not even be in devotional line, technically, right? Prabhupada says he's almost in the devotional line. And that too, keeping in mind that Prabhupada just now defined that second-class devotee is firmly convinced, he has strong faith, but he doesn't have the power to cite evidence from the revealed scriptures. But still, he is, in other places, Prabhupada, he also describes that the second-class devotee, he has the knowledge, but when it comes to a position of if he has to defend the opposition, he can't do that, even though he has conviction because he has knowledge. But the first-class devotee, he's conversant with all kinds of Vedic literature. How can we minimize the position of education in our movement and society, in our personal spiritual life? This is Hare Krishna, we're recording. So Hare Krishna, I'm going full on again. It's just, it's something small that I can do. It is like a handful of people who are listening to our podcast. You can get energized, and then you can go and energize somebody else. And then just like in the mood of Aindra Prabhu, the grassroots level, we're working with grassroots level devotees, and it can make a big difference overall also. So if every grassroots devotee will do something, will take initiative, then slowly it will have an impact, I'm sure. So one can thus conclude that when a person shows love for God and friendship for devotees, displays mercy toward the innocent, and is reluctant to associate with non-devotees, he may be considered a pure devotee. By developing devotional service, such a person can perceive that every living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme. In each and every living entity, he can see the Supreme Person, and therefore he becomes highly developed in Krishna consciousness. At this stage, he does not distinguish between the devotee and the non-devotee, for he sees that everyone is engaged in the service of the Lord. Such a pure devotee continues to develop all great qualities while engaged in Krishna consciousness and devotional service. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 5.18.12, Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati akinchana sarvair gunais tatra samasate sura harava bhaktasya kuto mahad guna manorathena sati dhavato bahi. Quote, one who attains pure, unalloyed devotional service to the Supreme Lord develops all the good qualities of the demigods, whereas a person who doesn't attain such service is sure to go astray despite all his material qualifications, for he hovers on the mental platform. Thus, his material qualifications are valueless. Hare Krishna. I remember my Guru Maharaj gave a class about how sometimes we as devotees also, there are some areas in our life where we don't connect to Kṛṣṇa or we don't see Kṛṣṇa in some situations. And he was saying, and then you're just manorathena asati, that you're just riding on the chariot of your mind. And like this is something that like yesterday we were discussing, right? That if you are engaged in devotional service of the Lord, then Super Soul from within, he will train you. But if you don't engage in devotional service, if you don't sincerely pray to Kṛṣṇa to engage you, to Shri Radha, to engage you in devotional service, then manorathena asati, you will just drive on the chariot of the mental platform, riding and riding uselessly. Hare Krishna. So chapter 12, the devotee. I talk too much these episodes. Should control myself. Chapter 12, the devotee. As mentioned above, a person in Kṛṣṇa consciousness being fully devoted to the transcendental loving service of the Lord develops all the godly qualities of the demigods. There are many such qualities, but Lord Chaitanya described only some of them to Sanatana Goswami. I love this. Okay. A devotee of the Lord is always kind to everyone. He does not pick quarrels. His interest is in the essence of life, which is spiritual. He is equal to everyone. No one can find fault in him. His magnanimous mind is always fresh and clean, and he is without material possessions. He is a benefactor to all living entities and is peaceful and always surrendered to Kṛṣṇa. He has no material desires. He is very humble and is fixed in his purpose. He is victorious over the 6 material qualities such as lust and anger, and he does not eat more than he needs. He is always sane and is respectful to others, but he does not require respect for himself. He is grave, merciful, friendly, poetic, expert, and silent. Srimad Bhagavatam 3.25.21 also describes the person in Kṛṣṇa consciousness, one who is devoted to the loving service of the Lord. There, the devotee is said to be always tolerant and merciful and a friend to all the living entities. He has no enemies. He is peaceful, and he possesses all good qualities. These are a few of the characteristics of a person in Kṛṣṇa consciousness. It is also said in Srimad Bhagavatam 5.5.2 that if one gets the opportunity to serve a great soul, a Mahatma, his path to liberation is open. However, those who are attached to materialistic persons are on the path of darkness. Those who are actually holy are transcendentalists. They are equipoised, very peaceful, free from anger, and friendly to all living entities. Simply by associating with such holy men, one can become a Kṛṣṇa-conscious devotee of the Lord. Indeed, to develop love of Godhead, the association of such great souls is needed. The path of advancement in spiritual life opens for anyone who comes in contact with such holy men, and by following their path, one is sure to develop Kṛṣṇa consciousness in full devotional service. In the 11th canto, 2nd chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, Vasudeva, the father of Kṛṣṇa, asks Narada Muni about the welfare of all living entities. And in reply, Narada Muni quotes a passage from Maharaja Nimi's discussion with the 9 sages. "O holy sages," King Nimi said, "I am just trying to find the path of well-being for all living entities. A moment of association with holy man is the most valuable thing in life, for that moment opens the path of advancement in spiritual life." Unquote. Srimad Bhagavatam 11.2.30. This statement is confirmed elsewhere in Srimad Bhagavatam 3.25.25. By associating with holy persons and discussing transcendental subject matters with them, one becomes convinced of the value of spiritual life. Very soon, hearing of Kṛṣṇa becomes pleasing to the ear and begins to satisfy one's heart. Tomorrow there will be a class by Madhavananda Prabhu, and this last week he began this discussion about Kaliya Damana Lila, and this is a very, very proper example of, he is an example of that devotee who's really discussed transcendental topics, like in their circle. Like he was saying that they would discuss Kaliya Damana Lila for 2 hours every day for 7 days. And the way he is just revealing these Leelas, you can see that he has such taste. And really, like, when you hear him describing like these Bhagavatam pastimes, quoting acharyas, this is really, like, for me, this was truly the example of hearing of Kṛṣṇa and how it becomes so pleasing to the ear and begins to satisfy one's heart. So, Hare Krishna. After receiving such spiritual messages from holy persons or pure devotees, if one tries to apply them in his own life, one naturally and successively develops faith, attachment, and devotion while progressing on the path of Krishna consciousness. The Lord then informed Sanatana Goswami about the behavior of a devotee. The sum and substance of such behavior is that one should always stay aloof from unholy association. And what is unholy association? It is association with one who is too much attached to women, or who is not a devotee of Lord Kṛṣṇa. These are unholy persons. One is thus advised to associate with holy devotees of the Lord and carefully avoid the association of unholy non-devotees. Pure devotees of Kṛṣṇa are very careful to keep aloof from the 2 kinds of non-devotees. We'll stop at this point, and next this topic will be more explained. Tomorrow it will be elaborated, but right now all of us can meditate upon this. So 2 kinds of non-devotees, 2 kinds of unholy association. It is those who are too much attached to women and those who are not devotees of Lord Kṛṣṇa. And with the second one, it's more or less easy, right? Those who are not devotees. They're not devotees, Hare Krishna. But as a lady, I can just say one thing about this thing, being too much attached to women. It may be a secret, but ladies are very much attached to themselves. Like women are very much attached to themselves. Like there was I will not quote it, but it's It's one materialistic song that I heard, I think, in the beginning of this year. Because when you deal with social media, you have to know what's in trend to be able to figure out how to build your own strategies of marketing. So there was this very popular song with that goes something like, sometimes men are obsessed with women. Well, women are also obsessed with women. Men say that they will die for ladies, and ladies they would also die for themselves. Because that's the nature. You can ask honest ladies about it. So yeah, it's definitely not good to be attached to women, because it's unholy association. And being in a woman's body, it's not very nice to be so much attached to themselves. Hare Krishna. That's a secret. Yeah. Okay. To end on a very funny note, or a pleasing note, I remember when my Guru Maharaj, he would be reading Shivaram Maharaj's books in Shri Vrindavan Dham farm in Kazakhstan. He would be reading how the gopis, they look in the mirror and they say, wow, I'm so beautiful today. Krishna will be so happy to see me. I will please Krishna by my beauty. And Guru Maharaj, he was reading this, and then he would stop and he would say that the ladies of this world also do that. They look in the mirror and they say, oh, I'm so beautiful. But they just don't, they're not conscious of the second part, that you're supposed to be beautiful for Krishna, right? So, yeah. Hare Krishna. So, thank you so much for tuning in today. Yes, we will see you tomorrow. Link to this book is in the description. Hare Krishna.